So we'll give folks one more minute to join in. I see people joining in here. And after that, we'll kick it off. Thanks. All right. I think we can get it started. Thank you so much. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be in the globe. But I think it's more good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for another session of Medtalks. My name is Muyiwa Tegbe. I also graduated from OU in 2005, studied medicine as all of you did, or all of you are planning to do. And I currently work as a deputy director for primary health care at PATH, the global health organization based out of Seattle. I'm not based in Seattle right now, but I work there. So that's a little bit about me. And today we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, and we have somebody who is known to most of you, most of the students and most of us who graduated in 2005. He's a classmate and a dear friend. His name is Dr. Olalekan. I just call him Lekan. He will introduce himself. So without much ado, so that we don't waste too much time, I will invite him to take the floor and just speak to us about what he has today. All righty. Lekan, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Muyiwa. Hello, everybody.
Good evening,
again, sir. Yeah, thank you very much. Again, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're at. I want to welcome everybody to the second in the series. I am so excited to be part of this. I am a product of mentorship myself, though not formal. I know what mentorship can do in the life of anybody. And I feel so excited that a platform of this sort is available for us to impact those who are coming behind us. It's always exciting to share our experiences, our successes and our failures as well, for you to learn and do better than we did. The theme for today's talk, like Muyiwa said, it's scripted for global exploit. Don't mind all the big grammar. I actually need to make some disclosure that I was borrowed most of those words by my wife, and then Tayo helped me polish it a little bit. So I'm sure you know I struggled before I could arrive at that topic. When I saw that I wasn't making headway, I had to consult, because all the topics that were coming to my mind were things like intestinal obstruction, obstructive jaundice and things like that. Right. So I would be speaking along this line, but beyond the topic, I'll be sharing my heart. I'll be speaking to us as friends, speaking to us as people with whom I share a common heritage, and that's OAU Med School. My talk is going to be in 3 parts. I'll be talking about what I call the IFE brand. The IFE brand. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about myself, just a little bit of that, and then I'll give some parting shots. So as if to just give credence to what I'm going to talk about today, a friend, a surgeon, a colleague who practices in the UK called me this afternoon. And, we needed to do some catching up, and he was sharing with me some of the experiences and all of that. And he told me how within a few weeks of our
Click on your mute. Dr. Liko, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. So within a few weeks of working in that hospital, I mean, he started receiving, acknowledgements and recommendations. And he had to be asking him where he's from. Of course, from OAU. Over the years, I've observed very clearly, and it's difficult to look away from it, that there's something quite unique about folks who have passed through OAU. I mean, it's just difficult to look away from it. I might not be able to explain all the underpinnings behind it. But the truth is, there's something about folks who have passed through OAU that you don't always find in people from elsewhere. I'm not trying to sound immodest here. That's just what it is. And I do think it's probably a reflection of the culture that's been passed down over the years. I also do think it's also a reflection of some of the experiences that we passed through. Naturally, it's our disposition as humans is to look at the negative aspects of our experiences, right? What we didn't have, what we didn't get, right? What we were denied. But the truth is, many times we don't extol the good parts of our experience, and that's what I'm going to be highlighting tonight. I see very clearly certain traits, very unique traits, which as of today are things that people look at for in the global market, that are present, that are readily available in amongst people who are passed through at one time or the other OAU. First amongst this is the trait I call resilience. Virtually, I'm sure all of my colleagues here are going to agree with me. Effect, and those of you who are students as well, you don't need to have been in effect for more than a year to begin with before you become resilient. Even if you came in as a butter, all your butter will melt within a matter of months. That's something that effect does to you. Effect teaches you resilience. It teaches you to adapt. It teaches you, it performs you. I mean, by the time you run from, I just said, to amphitheater, you sit on the stage to receive a 105 lecture, you run from one pillar to another pillar, and within a few months, you begin to develop, that trait of resilience. And of course, by the time you move to medical school proper, you get to part 2, get to part 3, and then you start going through all of those, lecture series, anatomy, physiology. And I remember back then, at a point, I needed to be asking myself, are we about becoming professor of body fit? By the time, Mama then, of our colleagues who remember, and I was just wondering, like a part 2 medical student was asking me a few months ago, he said, the details of, most of the things they are teaching them, he thinks they are too enormous. Most of his colleagues in other medical schools, they don't seem to be teaching them that much. It's as if, they are about making them BSc, anatomist, and all of that. I said, well, just go through it. There's some positive side to it. Yes, there's a number of things we were taught, there are a number of things we went through that we probably didn't need. But the truth of the matter is that those things did a lot of, good work in us. Of course, by the time you move to clinicals, you take lecture in the morning on campus, you go to the hospital for postings, you come back in the afternoon for lectures, you move to part 5, you do 6 weeks in Ife, do 6 weeks in Elisha, all of those experiences. You probably wouldn't find most of those things in many other institutions. On the long run, those things culminate in developing toughness in you. And whichever climb you find yourself, subsequently, you just find it very easy to adapt. I tell you the truth, what you probably lack in terms of exposure, what you lack, in terms of privileges, The kind of toughness that Ife imparts into you makes you catch up, with those things within a very short time. And I've experienced that personally. I had to take a program outside the country at some time, and the first few weeks was so rough. I didn't even understand the system, right? I remember the first day in class, it was a master's program, the first day in class, and the professor, were very few in class. So the professor just looked at me and said, Lekan, that's what he calls me. So Lekan, um, can you present your homework? I just was looking at her, which homework? Where is the homework? Where did they give the homework? Right? At that time, I didn't know what Blackboard meant. I mean, the homework had been, pasted on the blackboard. I didn't know anything about Blackboard. All I knew was to carry my books to class, and I was expecting someone to talk to me, and I would be writing. I was way behind everybody in class. I didn't even understand, what the system was about. At a point, I asked myself, what's going on? But I tell you the truth, in a matter of weeks, I didn't only catch up with them in class. I was way ahead of them, right? Not because I was more intelligent than them. I just told myself, no, I can't come this far and then somebody's going to rubbish me. I've been through worse situations. I mean, there have been instances where you have pages upon pages of things to read and there's a test tomorrow. And then you go there and tattoo and, the following morning, you are ready for the test. So I told myself, no, things may look rough at the moment, but I'm going to sail through it. And I can tell you this, I also discovered that there's a lot of forming that happens out there. It was later I realized that a number of my classmates, some of the Oyibo folks, who I thought understood everything they were saying in class, some of them also didn't understand, right? It was much later I got to realize that. The truth is, a lot of times we tend to see ourselves as disadvantaged. We tend to see ourselves as, underprivileged. That is not the case, right? At least in all its entirety. There are certain things that we probably do lack, but the truth of the matter is that what you have in terms of resilience, in terms of toughness, in terms of ability to adapt to, difficult situations will make up for whatever deficiency you may have. I'm speaking to those of us who already graduated. I'm speaking to those who are in practice already. You have what it takes to survive in any climate. I can say that to you. Ask my colleagues who practice abroad. The truth of the matter is many of them are leaders in various fields. And a lot of people they met in those settings are way behind them. There is something it does to you. It makes you tough. It makes you adapt. And within a short period, you would have caught all the scope there is, to whatever setting you find yourself. I also see this other traits amongst people who have graduated from it, and it's called resourcefulness. A number of times you see folks in private hospitals, asking specifically, I need an IFE graduate. They just seem to enjoy people from IFE. IFE folks are resourceful. They just seem to know what to do. A lot of times you don't need to tell an IFE guy, what next to do. He just seems to know what to do. And I'm not talking about, you haven't been so super intelligent, just an average IFE person, right? It just seems to, we're very much liked in the market space. I dare say that, right? A number of our guys who are, doing residency programs in other institutions, they seem to stand out, right? If it teaches you to be resourceful, if it teaches you to know the facts, it's actually difficult for you to come to here and then you be an anyhow person. By the time you present to someone like Prosadiji, you'll be back there. I think Muiwa must have been in Prof's tutorial group, I remember. You can't present anyhow. Any statement you say, Prof will say, why? How? Explain. So you think twice before you say just anything.
I've lost audio.
Nikon, we
average,
can't hear you. Okay.
An average IFE person leaves nothing to assumption, right? And that shows, like I did say, in many places, private hospitals, teaching hospitals, people love to work with, IFE folks. And it's for no other reason. IFE people are very, very resourceful. IFE med graduates are leaders. They are born leaders. There's this sense of responsibility that an average IFE person has. You find yourself in a new place, right? you just discover that things aren't moving the way they ought to move. You just see the guy filling in the gap. Not because you want to assume any leadership position. Just see yourself, putting things together. Many of us don't actually realize that there is something about leadership that is imputed into us by coming through IFE. And actually, I think it's a general IFE thing, not even necessarily the medical school alone. That's why you will see, for instance, in back then in AWO, if somebody just misbehaves, you see, and just a commoner. It's not a whole rep. It's not anything. You just announce it. Somebody has just done this, and then everybody, you round up the guy, and then you take him to our coffee room. Deal with the guy. I mean, there's this sense of it's our thing. And you remember back then, no matter how aggrieved students are, no matter how pained you are, no matter how angry you are with your money, back then, you dare not do a looter and then you damage any property. You do that, it is part of those who are doing their looter that will deal with you. I mean, they will tell you, don't you have sense? I mean, these are property. There's that sense of leadership that, an average IFE person possesses. Of course, IFE makes it thorough. I did mention earlier, you can't pass through IFE and then you are not a thorough person. You clerk anyhow. In fact, you would have been dealt with by your colleagues. I remember back then when we were preparing for end of posting exams and all of that, and we gather ourselves in groups. Some of us were even more toxic than some of the examiners. Say, no, you have not said this. You have not mentioned this. You have not mentioned this, right? And we're trained to be thorough. You don't leave anything, to assumption. And finally, I'm just trying to run through so I can touch on every aspect of my talk tonight. An average IFE person is taught to be smart. You are taught to be smart. You are trained to talk. I mean, I remember, I lived in Oremiji in part of my part 5 and part 6. I remember we gathered ourselves then and then we're presenting and we're talking. And we used to simulate some of the examiners. I remember, and thanks to, very excellent presidents and consultants that we had there, they taught us, to know how to navigate through difficult situations. Anytime you are moving stuff and then you see that the examiner is not happy with you, they will teach you, say, just tell him, however, I'm aware that it can also be this, it can also be that. They taught us all of those things. So, you are never stuck. You always have a way of, wriggling out of difficult situations, finding your way out of, out of tough circumstances. Those are some of the things that IFE teaches you. And believe you me, those things still reflect up to today. It will interest you to know that residents come to IFE. Up till now, residents from other places come to IFE, say, we want to learn how you guys do it in IFE. Back then, when we go for update courses and then we gather ourselves in groups to talk, you will see folks from other places saying, let the IFE people talk, let the IFE people talk. There is something about IFE that is different than other places. As a matter of fact, IFE prepares you way beyond your age group. That's the truth. I'm going to be talking a little bit about myself. Let me just quickly move ahead. Came into medical school like all of my other colleagues. We came in 1997, of course, with the dream of becoming a doctor and all of that. Well, let me fast forward. We all became doctors. I had this desire to be a surgeon. It's always been a burning passion in my heart. I just wanted to be a surgeon. So right during housemanship, I started preparing, for primaries and all of that. And I'll quickly say this. I identified some folks then. I was doing my housemanship in Elisha with Deolu Adeyeye, Tonka, Ajibare, Alaba, and all of that. We were all in Elisha. It was a lovely time. We all lived together as a family. It was fun, right? And you remember Elisha was, quite a small place, so everybody knew one another. It was beautiful. Dele Okonla, all of us were together in Elisha at the time. So I identified people who had similar passions with me. Deolu Adeyeye wanted to be a surgeon as well. And we teamed up together. We started preparing for primary. I remember Deolu then. We attended update course together for primaries. I lodged in his house for 2 weeks. I mean, we stayed in his house. We were reading and studying together. And that was the kind of motivation that I needed, which I got in friends. Toka Ogun, then who is playing in Australia today. We were all together at the time. I also remember Deola Ajibare, who also was about in Malaysia then. Deola used to make fun of me at that time. Said, "Okay, surgeon, anywhere there is surgery, I just want to run there and see what is going on." So I remember then Ajibare would mock me, say, "Sende, there's a guy with gastroenteritis in casualty. Will you go and do laparotomy and do topical instillation of antibiotics to stop the gastroenteritis?" I mean, those things, was fun. And I had people around me at that time who encouraged me to be who I really wanted to be. So I remember then we were to write primaries. That must have been October 2006. And it coincided with NYC. We were right at the camp. I had planned the last 2 weeks before primaries, I was going to read. Lo and behold, we found ourselves in camp. Myself and Tayo were in Adamawa State. I knew next to nothing. I came there at night. I just didn't know where to go. And I had this exam to write, and I just wanted to pass it at all costs. The passion to be a surgeon was so much that, the way NYC camp looks like. Nowhere to read. You are climbing rope, you are jumping everywhere, and all of that. Thanks to one very correct Igbo guy who I met at the NYC camp. The guy was doing business, phone charging business. You pay 5 naira or some whatever it is to charge your phone. So I approached him. I said, "Bros, I need a place to be reading now." And the guy said, "Boy, no problem now. I can rent 2 table and chair." So this guy rented, I rented his table and chair from him. I can't remember how much. I rented it for about a week or two. And he showed me one bush where I can take the table and chair to, right, to read. So found a path to the bush, took the table and the chair there, and I will run to the bush to go and start reading for primary while in NYC camp, where people are climbing rope. So that was how I prepared for my primary. Thank God I wrote primaries, I passed, started residency. I'll say to you, my first 1 year in residency was practically a walkover. Reason? Because I was very studious? Absolutely no. Because I was intelligent? Certainly not. But because virtually everything I needed in the first 2 years of residency, I had been taught at the medical. In fact, I don't know if Tinuka is on the call. Tinuka's note was circulating among residents. I don't know if you guys remember Tinuka's journal.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
Copyright.
my goodness. Absolutely. Tinuka needs to know that those things circulated amongst residents for a couple of years. I'm talking about residents here. I'm not talking medical students. Those talks were relevant, right? So we had more than enough. We were already kitted for the first 1-2 years. So when, most of the other guys were talking then in residency, you would think these guys have been there for a long time. But you think they were readers, but Agbakuro had taught us all those things. We know how to talk. We know how to say however. We know how to say, you can always navigate your way through every question. You can say, I'm aware. You can say, it can also be this. However, it was a walkover. And I thank God for the heritage that I have in dealing with it. Some of you guys may be complaining at the time.
Okay, we've lost audio again. Leko, we can't hear you.
Well,
okay.
Am I still audible?
Okay, I think your connection is better now.
Okay, so residency was fun for me. Everything went well, but something happened. It's going to be exactly 9 years in just about 3 days. October 6, 2012. It was 10 days to my final part 2 fellowship exam. I was traveling from Lagos. Everything was just looking bright and beautiful. I passed my part 1, everything was fine. I was to go write my part 2. I was to go for a fellowship just a couple of months after my part 2, everything was just, looking very well laid out. I was coming from Lagos, and I would forever thank God for preserving me. I had an accident. And I remember how it all happened. I remembered I didn't want to drive because I was preparing for exams. So I remembered I had my books in one of my pouches, and I decided to take a public transport. I got into the bus, I sat in front, and as I sat, a woman just came across and said, that's a seat. So I didn't meet anybody on the seat. Well, I just left the seat and went to the very rear side of the car, and I sat and slept. And that was the last thing I knew. There was a truck that was parked just around the Shagamu Exchange, I think a little before Shagamu Exchange, a truck, loaded with cement, parked across the road, and our vehicle just ran into it. And it was a terrible experience. There were several casualties, including folks who sat on the seat I would have sat upon. I woke up about 30 minutes to an hour after the accident. Lo and behold, I just had this, it was like thunder on my neck. I knew something had happened. This was 10 days to my part 2 final fellowship exam. positive. Somehow I was ferried out of that site, brought back to the hospital. I did a CT. It was a comminuted fracture. I think it was C1, C2 comminuted fracture. That was a setback. It wasn't a pleasant experience. But I have no pain from that experience because it could have been worse. It was meant, I could have just been there. So each time I remember that I'm alive, it's going to be exactly 9 years in just a few days. Each time I remember that I'm alive, I'm forever and eternally grateful to God. So that caused me some setback. I eventually passed my part 2. That was 6 months after that. That was in 2013. Like I said, every time I remember that incident, I'm just always full of hope. Eventually, I couldn't go for the fellowship I wanted to go for. It was like virtually everything just came crashing. All my plans just went bad. I remember then, after I was discharged from the hospital, I came back home. I was always at home. I knew practically everything happening in the country at that time because I would just sit there in front of the television. My colleagues who had moved ahead, they went for their graduation. Everybody was fine. The one that had traveled, and I was just there doing Baba Sali at home, with Tabaka collar on my neck. It was enough reasons for me to get depressed. And I remember sitting back at home and I said to myself, the best I can do for myself under this circumstance is to have good stories to tell. And I remembered where I sat when I took that decision. Right there, I told myself I was going to tell good stories out of it. So I remember calling some of my friends, help me gather this data, gather that data. That was practically the beginning of my research career. Right there while I was at home, I started pulling data together, I started writing, and I started publishing. Of course, I eventually passed my exams and I moved ahead. But the things that I gained from that experience have remained with me up to now. And of course, I came back to Ife. I was employed as a lecturer. I would never forget the contribution of mentors in my life because the truth of the matter is I enjoyed a lot of privileges from people who have gone ahead of us. Prosagba Kuru is one of such people. Prosagba Kuru wasn't just a teacher, wasn't just our teacher at the level of undergraduate. Prosagba Kuru was and is a mentor to me. He gave me a lot of soft landing. And that's why up till today, we're still together a couple of days back. Prosagba Kuru is someone I will forever respect. I also had a lot of other people who provided, gave me platforms to express myself. Today, I'm grateful to God. I'm a beneficiary of a lot of opportunities, a lot of privileges, both in Nigeria and abroad. And I must say that speaks to the importance of mentorship. There are so many things that you don't even need to struggle with yourself. There are people on this platform who just by sheer recommendation can get you a number of things, right? Get you into places you probably would have needed to struggle for years to get. And that's why I'm very excited about what we're doing. Let me give a few parting shots. I like to say first and foremost that you need to appreciate yourself. You need to appreciate yourself. Oh, you're training in Nigeria, you're training in Ife, there's a way people can continue to look at the negative side of things. There is so many good things about being in Ife. If I have a choice, I will go through medical school in Ife again and again and again and again. Like I said earlier, I've interacted with folks across the nation, and I can tell you the truth. Ife is unique any day. Appreciate yourself. Enjoy the moment while it lasts. Get the best you can get from the system, because the soft skills that you acquire today are going to be forever relevant to you. I also want to say, identify your dreams and pursue it. The truth is, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. That's the fact. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm just happy about being a soldier. That's the truth, because that's always been my dream. And I had reasons to make other choices as I grew in my career. I'm particularly excited about being a general surgeon, and I'm just happy to be a general surgeon. That's just what I just love to be. There were options that I was given after I passed my part 1. I knew I wasn't going to be fulfilled if I did any of those. right? And that speaks to the fact that one of the things that carries you through in life is when you're doing what you really are passionate about, what you really enjoy to do. And I also want to say to you that you should own your decisions. Own your decision. The truth is there are several options that you have, right? Once you graduate from medical school, you have a variety of options. Whatever option you choose, make sure it's yours. Don't take somebody else's decision. Don't just do things because some other persons are doing it. Wherever you find yourself, whether you're in Nigeria or you are abroad, you have what it takes to play on the global stage. That is the truth. You can be in Nigeria and your voice is heard across the globe, and that's the fact. As of today, there are people who are looking for folks to collaborate with in Nigeria. And there are not many of those. There are so many opportunities available in Nigeria. So wherever you find yourself, whether you're abroad or you are in Nigeria, just make sure you are the best that you can be. But make sure you own your decision. Let me also mention to us that I think it's always an advantage when you start early. Looking back now, there are things I certainly would have wished I had begun much earlier than I did. For instance, I wished I had started, I'd gotten into research well ahead of time. Research is something that I love to do. I enjoy doing it. It's just fun for me. I wish I had started doing it much earlier. And I'm giving this invitation to every one of us. As many of us who says that as a medical student, you can do cutting edge things. There's this idea that, it's all about medicine, surgery, and community health. Excuse me, who says that? There's so many things that you can do at this level, even as medical students. And I think we need to begin to change the paradigm. Start early. Whatever it is you feel you are passionate at doing, begin doing it right from now. I think I'll stop at that. Over to you, Muiwa.
Thank you so much. I like the way you ended it. Whatever you're passionate about, do it right now. Start doing it right now. Thank you so much, Lekon. Thank you so much, Dr. Lasende, for this, and for sharing your experiences and your life and your life challenges, even the lowest, when you were at the lowest points in your career. Thank you so much for sharing that. So at this stage, I'm not gonna talk about a lot about it before I start another presentation, but this has really been great, and really exciting for me. And I will say that, guys, hang on to every word I hear saying. Take instruction from it and move a lot. A lot of us we're giving you instructions, or we're giving how will I put it, I don't want to say instructions, but I want to say we're speaking from what we have learned and the mistakes that we've made. You get over time, some of the things that we should have done, some of the things that we didn't do well, but in all, God has brought us this far. And thank you so much, Lekon. At this point in time, I just want us to have, we're going to welcome questions right now. So if you have questions, I'm going to remove the spotlight so I can see people. Just raise up your hand if you want to ask a question. Just raise up your hand and let me know. Or if you want to send your questions, put your questions in the chat or by email to, sorry, let me pull up this email address. To oaumed05@gmail.com. You can send your email. You can send your questions there as well. Thank you. Alaba, why are you asking a question?
It's be your own now.
Why do you have a question? Why?
I have a question for Dr. Lasende now, because I can just imagine myself as a final year student now. The preoccupation would be that you just want to pass your exams and get out of that place. That is the normal psyche. That is the normal model of thoughts that happens at that stage. I just wonder, what would Dr. Lasende say to me now if I tell him, look, Chief, I haven't got any time to do anything else. All I want to do right now is just pass my exams. How do you balance that against following your dreams and doing anything else? I'm asking as a Part 6 student now.
All right, Alaba, thank you. I think that's a very pertinent question. That's actually the psyche, but I think that psyche needs to change. And that's the truth, because pass you will. That's the, in fact, passing has become a lot easier now. I didn't remember to say to you that at the last exam, we probably had about nine people who had distinctions in study. I mean, when you are, I mean, could that have
Wow.
happened?
Wow.
I've told you I'm coming back to medical school. That distinction I didn't get, I must get it.
With your gray hair.
Don't worry. Dr. Leko is there. I will pass.
Don't worry, I'll give you 51. So I must tell you the truth, it's even a lot easier to pass. Again, there's always time to do whatever you want to do. That's the fact. There is always time to do whatever you want to do. If you're passionate about something, you would always find time to be able to do it. And again, there's also a need for guidance and mentorship here. We're not saying you should get to doing things at the expense of your primary goal, which is passing. As a matter of fact, doing what you are meant to do can actually enhance your passing. Do you know that one of the things we're experiencing, allow me to share this. I was talking with a medical student in the operating room one day. This guy was obviously having problems. So we're trying to set up gadgets in the theater. I can't remember what procedure I wanted to do. I just saw his face lit up, right? This is a guy, you ask him questions, don't stop. But the moment we're trying to set up gadgets, his face just lit up. So I approached him. I said, guy, what's going on? He said, oh God, this is what I like to do. I like gadgets. I like IT. And I saw that passion in him over time had been suppressed. He hasn't had the opportunity to give expression to himself. There are several folks today who are having depression. We're recording very high incidences of depression across. People aren't happy. A lot of people are not happy, right? There are some people, for instance, who came into medical school, not because it was their choice, right? And not allowing them do, at least a bit of what they even love to do can even worsen, their state of mind. What I'm trying to say is that there is a way doing what you love to do can actually enhance your passing. You only need to be properly guided. You need mentorship, and with the proper guidance in place, I think the two of them are not mutually exclusive at all.
Thanks a lot for that, Leko. One of the things that I've always thought about, or that keeps coming up along those lines, is that, do people have side hustles? I just want to ask the class right now. You know, there's this thing about people, you're in school, you think that, okay, daddy and mommy are going to provide everything. But just as you said, this guy, he has a passion for medical equipment, IT, and things like that. So and maybe because of where he's found himself, he just feels that he can't do it right now. I won't be surprised if he drops his MBCHB tomorrow and becomes Demilade. Do you understand? And it's true. So
why are you bringing me into this matter?
Stop it, Joe. Stop it. You are not. I'll mute you completely. So just respond in the chat. Do you have a side hustle? We just want to generate some conversation here. Do you have a side hustle? Do you have something that you're passionate about outside of medicine, right? Outside of medicine, and that just brightens your eyes, or just makes you all excited beyond seeing patients day in, day out. So just respond in the chat. That would be great. I haven't seen any other question coming up. Any other person has a question, please raise your hands and feel free to come in here.
Daniel, are you there? I'm aware you mentioned that a number of folks have questions. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, sir. I'm here, sir.
Okay, so I remember you mentioned to me that a number of questions, particularly your group. I mean, this is a time where decisions are being taken. You're not sure whether to remain in Nigeria or to travel out. You're not sure whether to remain a doctor or to start selling cars.
Okay.
Daniel, you're breaking up. Sorry, you're breaking up. Okay. Okay, Daniel, if we cannot, I think, are you speaking right now? Otherwise, you can use the chat function. Just send me
Okay.
your questions, some of the questions. Yeah.
Okay, I will send it to the chat.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to put someone on the spot right now. Tayo Awoyale, you said here that you like organizing parties. Tell us more about it. Tayo, don't be shy now. If you're speaking,
Why
you're
shall
mute.
I shy?
Doesn't have
Okay.
microphone.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
That was my side hustle when I was in medical school. Sorry, I have background noise. So I still love organizing, and I use that soft skill I learned. I practically practiced more of it while I was in school. So I had public speaking engagements that I used my skills for. I had the opportunities while I was there. So I used that. And then I developed my organizing skills, and I'm still good at it. So I use it presently at work. So everyone, I have to mute myself. I have background noise. But that was my side hustle. Whatever your passion is, find a way in which it can, fit into your current life, into medical school, and see how that works. Or branch out.
Thanks a lot, Tayo. And tell that little mama that she's welcome as well. Any other questions?
And in spite of all of Tayo's side hustles, she was still moving a lot of stuff.
There are quite a
Exactly.
few questions on the chat function, guys, if you want to look at that. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question here that concerning mentorship, must the person be in your field of interests? Lekon, you want to take that? And I can add to it.
Maybe you do, Muiwa.
Okay, so for mentorship, so you can have multiple mentors. That's one thing I found out in life. They can have multiple mentors, and so that they advise you or they mentor you in different areas of our lives. Our lives are not unifaceted, they are multifaceted, right? And if you're talking specifically for our medical career, it's always advisable to say, yes, this is what I want to do in life. This is what kind of one mentor or two mentors that I have along those lines, right? Because you cannot say you want to be a surgeon or you want to be a very good surgeon and now have an internal medicine person, someone in internal medicine or someone in family medicine as your mentor. They could mentor you in different ways, in a different way, but not in that surgical line, because it's going to be difficult. You will struggle personally, and they will also struggle to add value to you. So you want people who will add value to you, as in that particular area. But generally, I think that having mentors for multiple areas of your life, or just cross-cutting, people who you can talk to and bounce ideas off of them, get insights regarding things even left field completely, I think makes a lot of sense. So the short answer to that will be, I'll say yes. Get a mentor who is in your area of specialization or your line of specialization you're thinking about, but at the same time, get other mentors who will actually also guide you in different areas. Lekon, you want to add to that?
No, nothing to add. I mean, perfect answer.
Okay, thanks a lot. Another question here is, my question is about specialization. I've rotated through different aspects of medicine, but still not found that which interests me. Can you please advise me concerning this? Leko, I'm throwing this to you squarely.
Okay, so that's very possible. You could rotate through all the specialties in medicine and not find what you like to do, because who says you must actually do residency in the first? That's the first question you need to answer, right? And that's very, very pertinent. Back then, I feel that that was just the thinking. Once you graduate, you either go the medical officer way or you go the residency way. It was like that was just the only two pathways, right? But there are so many things. particularly in today's world where, most of the professional boundaries are being fixed. I mean, you could virtually delve into many other aspects different than your background. So I think that whoever asked this question should begin to think beyond, the core specialization that you are exposed to in your hospital, because there is more specialization outside of what we offer. There's more things that are coming up now. Beyond that, there is more things beyond specializing in some of the core specialties in medicine. There are other things to do, right? And I think Muyiwa can speak to that. There are several opportunities across the globe. That's the truth. Bimilade can speak to that as well. So many opportunities, and there's a lot of intersection these days between medicine and some of the aspects that were not traditionally, within the medical sphere before now, right? Thanks to technology, thanks to, all of that. So I think my simple answer to that question would be open your mind. There is more to the future than medicine, surgery, psychiatry, ONG, and other things. Actually, there is oil and gas, different from offering. That's also a special.
Thanks a lot, Leko. And I think I don't want to preempt my own talk, which is coming. I think it's after this, or two talks from down the road. But there's so many things that we can do, and as Lekon said, you want to broaden your horizon, broaden your mind, and think about it. See, hey, graduates, do your internship, then you can now explore the world, right? And say, okay, what exactly is there? Do you want to go to IT? Do you want to go to health information technology? Do you want to go into policy? Do you want to go into different? There's so many areas. There are even specializations that you don't even think about. You get one area of lack that's I think medical school actually, that this current framework in for medical education in Nigeria is actually research. Is something that Dr. Leko actually spoke about. Research is really, really lacking. You get within the current medical setup in Nigeria right now. So that could be another area that you could think about. But do not allow that limit you or force you into doing something that you don't want to do or you would not like to do. You still have time, sincerely. I'll tell you, you still have time. So open your mind, research, explore, and reach out to us on our email. And if you have more questions regarding that. Emmanuel has a question here, said, I'm not really interested in clinical practice over time. I've discovered that my interest lies in financial and policy aspects of health. I've tried looking for mentors in that field. I have not seen one.
You are talking one. Mr. Money.
So, Emmanuel, if shoot me an email. I'm actually. Should I talk now? It's short about myself. Short about myself. I wanted to be a cardiologist, right? That was what everybody in school knew that I wanted to do. We graduated. I went into a house job. It was actually a house job. I discovered that I did not want to do clinical medicine again, that I wanted to go into health policy. So not to speak about that, shoot me an email. My email is muyiwategbe@gmail.com. I will put it in the this thing here for you. You can reach out to me and we can talk some more about it. So okay. Yeah. I think there was a response to that. Anyone wishing for mentors, please send us an email and we'll link you up. All right. Then yeah. Anyone else?
I think someone is party.
Yeah.
Muyiwa
was trying to say something.
And there's another question in the forum.
Sorry, Alaba, I didn't get that.
There's another question that's just come up.
Okay, all right. Let me look at that. It says, I like repairing things. When I was young and I even wanted to become a mechanical engineer, but somehow I found myself in medicine. Is there any aspect of medicine I can go into and have some experience around this? Alaba, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, guys, medical physics is becoming a huge thing now for all of us. Now, every time I have a problem with a ventilator, a scan machine, or something, they oftentimes send somebody from medical physics down. Now, those guys are purely technical most of the times, but oftentimes now they're actually actively trying to recruit people with medical background. So biomedical engineering is a huge thing. Prosthetics and fashioning is a huge thing. Medical physics with medical devices. All the devices we use in medicine are designed and still maintained by people who have some medical background, but thought of a problem and built something to solve it. So you are in actually a cutting edge kind of area of medicine if you really go into this. And there's a bold man over there who is trying to psych you to go into orthopedics. Deolu, well done. We see you.
Deolu, we see you. Well done. We see you. He was talking about things, not bones.
You never know. You never know. I may convince him.
He was talking about things, not bones.
Or really,
guys,
you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Lots of preparing going on there. Lots of this. Many times, the science behind it is in the biomechanics of the body and trying to restore the biomechanics. And then, you know, with appropriate biomechanics, you can get, you know, good gaits and things like that. So you may just enjoy it, you know. You may just. I'm not trying to say the human being is a machine, but I mean, you know, the way we're going now.
Some people are
Say the human being is a machine without saying the human being is a machine, right?
Thanks a lot. Any other questions? Yeah. We're still open for questions.
Yeah,
We have about
Muyiwa,
6 minutes.
Let me just add this, Muyiwa.
Yeah.
Hello?
Sure, go ahead, go ahead. Shoot.
Yeah, so a colleague of mine visited a hospital in the US, and he came back and shared his experience with me. That hospital employed a former football, a psychologist who had worked with a football club, and he was employed into the Department of Surgery in that institution. And what was his job? His job was to help resident doctors concentrate when they are working on the laparoscope and while working on the robot. While he was working with the football club, his job was to, of course, help build the psyche of the footballers. You want to take a penalty, how do you compose yourself so you do it right? And that skill was what they employed in that institution to help surgeons concentrate, resident doctors concentrate, while, you know, handling very delicate instruments, while performing an anastomosis with the laparoscope. And that's quite, you know, quite interesting how a psychologist working with a football club could find relevance in the Department of Surgery. Just to let us know how much how feasible it is to move across professions and, you know, still be relevant.
Excellent. That's really great. I have one question here, but I also there are 2 questions we also want to ask, and if you guys can just put it in your chat, in the chat box. Question 1, can you tell us one soft skill you have learned throughout your journey in IFE? What's one soft skill? Taya learned how to organize people and she started making money from it, but just tell us one soft skill you have. Second question is, who is your class stenographer? We need to replicate Tinu. And copyright those notes. So please just put it in the chat and let's talk about it. Then the other question I have is, what pathway would one take if you want to follow the path of medical physics, prosthetics, bionics, medical robotics, and all of that? Do I have to get a 2nd degree in engineering or master's or residency in a related field like orthopedics? Thank you. Deolu, do you want to speak to that a little bit, or Alaba, do you want to speak to that?
Sorry, I missed that. I'll let Deolu take it.
Okay, Deolu, did you get the question?
That's a very good question, really. First off, you do not need to do orthopedic surgery to do so much of the groundbreaking things that you have listed. However, to increase the opportunities you would have to impactfully, especially in things like robotics and medical physics, you may need a second degree, maybe a master's or something, in addition to experience, to be able to really make an impact in that field. There are many centers that offer this opportunity, especially with robotics, medical physics, data, what do you call that thing now? Machine learning, big data analysis, all related to surgery, orthopedic surgery especially. And with all of this, you really don't need to be in orthopedics or a medical specialty. Although it would be nice for you to come to orthopedics, yeah, and then from there you can have more.
Yeah, bye bye.
The man is evangelizing.
I know. He's marketing. Okay, guys, we have 2 more minutes. And I don't want us to stay too long here. You guys did not respond to our questions. Who is your class stenographer and soft skills? Okay, someone just said, Aisha just said communication skills. Awesome. You cannot pass through medicine without learning how to talk and learning how to communicate. Class stenographer, Emmanuel said it's Osas, God knows. Okay, awesome. We're seeing Sumbo Koforola. Okay, we're getting names here. All right, as the names keep coming in, we have 1 more minute, and I'll just give it to Lekon to just wrap us up here, and then we can go from there. Lekon, are you still online with us?
I am. Thank you very much, Muiwa. I think I have nothing else to say other than to say thank you for giving me the privilege to talk. I would say to the students and to the graduates that our lines are open. I'm sure the discussions can't end here today. There certainly will be much more to talk about. Please feel free to reach out to us, ask questions. I think you have us as resource persons to talk to on whatever issue bothers you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Muiwa. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, and thanks, guys, for participating in this. It will not be successful without you guys. So thank you so much for participating. I also want to say, hey, spread the word around. Let people take advantage of this. We intend to do this to keep it going as long as we can, right? And so please take advantage of this. And as Lekon has said, our lines are open. You have our email address, oaumed05@gmail.com. Send us messages or send any questions you still have, and we'll be sure to respond to those. We're also going to be sending out a question probably within the next week on what the frequency you want this meeting to be. If you still want it to be monthly, or if you want us to change it to bi-weekly, please let us know. And thank you once again. Thank you so much, Alaba, Tayo, Lekon, for all of this. And I think I will close the curtain here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye, Demilade.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
The money.
GBG. How are you, sir?
DGG there, yeah. DBG. Cha.
Hi, hello. Nice job, guys.
DBG.
Then I did miss your sessions, though.
I did on top
that time is not good for some of us. We're still busy at work.
Don't mind Demi.
You are skipping us out.
But I have it on YouTube, though. I always have it on YouTube.
It's on your Instagram. It's sometimes I go back there to just.
Yeah, it's on YouTube and
listen.
Actually,
it's on YouTube now. Okay.
Yeah.
Ali Bay.
Right on, sir.
Baba Jisha.
Thank you.
It's now Baba Iwe.
Baba Iwe.
Yo, Gisadiri.
Alaba cold on the catch you. Why they wear turtleneck?
Boy, the weather just changed this week.
It did not change out for us, man.
In fact, the rains just came and the weather turned completely cool.
Cold.
Oh, wow.
But notice it's getting cold too now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did the same thing to us earlier this week, but it warmed up again.
Yeah, I suspect it's still going to warm up. We're still going to have an October
Yeah.
heat wave or something, but at least for now, it's just quite
Cool.
It's the Tegbe kid. Well done.
Maybe this.
Dr.
Yeah,
David.
good job, Tegbe.
Yeah, well done, Tegbe. Thanks so much